Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality with the best hair. And welcome to Live and Wired Episode 2, Judgment Pay. And joining again is... Whoa, I'm listening to myself, talking to myself. I'm going to have to turn that off. Okay. So joining would be that long-haired creepy guy.
Yo.
And Patricia Miranda of Old School Lane.
Hey everybody, what's up?
And we got a good amount of little news bits to go over this week, this bye week.
Yes, we have a lot of news.
You prefer weeks or bye weeks?
I always say bye weeks, but I'm biased that way.
All right, well, I guess we can get started. I know that we were talking about the YouTube news, so I guess let's get that started because, oh man, I'm sure that you guys have a lot to say about it.
Yeah.
So let me just pull it up real quick. See, go over to the share screenware, and here we go. We have the YouTube introduces new criteria for creator monetization, Google preferred structure. And basically from this really long article is talking about how ever since the whole incident with a certain YouTuber that we're not going to discuss about, but I'm sure you've been hearing over the past couple of weeks, with smaller YouTube channels, in order for you to get monetization, you need to have at least 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 views. So that means if you are...
That's 4,000 hours of watch time over the course of 12 months.
Right. So pretty much if you're below that, even if you had a YouTube partnership like Maker or Full Screen or anything like that, it's going to be cut off entirely.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, what are your thoughts on this?
All right. Well, the one thing that seems to be, from what I've heard, there's some talk that it's actually a misconception that is because of the incident at the beginning of this year, because there was talk from Google that this was going to be implemented previously, but I don't know the specifics. I don't know if what they were previously talking about had all the specifics laid out, like the 4,000 hour watch time in 12 months requirement or the 1,000 subscriber minimum. And I think that, it's like it's sort of a blanket solution. So in general, there are plenty of people that this just is not going to work out well for, like animators. If you want to just be an animator, you can probably get those subscribers relatively easily, but that watch time is going to be really hard because you're going to be producing very short videos, very long spaced apart from each other. So yeah, it's if you're producing gaming content, it's very easy to get 4,000 hours of watch time in 12 months because you can make videos every single day without all that much difficulty. 1,000 subscribers will still be a bit of a pain, but it's not going to be too hard to get the watch time up on that. So it's encouraging a lot more like just like this live streaming and such. But it's the whole thing about it's going to it's if it is that they were planning on it before and they're just implementing it now, it's extremely badly timed because right after the incident that shall not be named, involving a very large YouTuber who this would not affect at all, they're saying that they're going to introduce these new changes that are going to harm very small YouTubers, and they're saying they're doing it to ensure that there's no bad actors getting monetization and stuff, so that there's a higher barrier of entry.
Depending on who you ask, some of those very bad actors are some of the most entertaining parts of YouTube.
Yeah, I guess so. It really depends on what content you're presenting over to the channel, what the consistency of the quality of your videos are, and also how often you're uploading it. Like, it took me about 5 years to reach at least 1,000 subscribers, and that was from my years as a blogger and a podcaster. Now that I started actually doing videos back in 2015, and I've since partnered up with Frederator. I've doubled that, and it was due to a lot of hard work and a lot of determination, especially with the advice that I got from Kate Heiser, who was one of the higher ups at Frederator. And I mean, I'm sure for a lot of like younger people or even people who want to get started on YouTube, it's definitely going to be a lot more difficult, but you should never give up on whatever that you're trying to do. If you really are passionate about this, don't do it for the sake of being popular. Just do it for the sake of absolutely to you, or just do it for the art. Just do it for the craft. That's what I would say.
Yeah, the one thing about the whole 4,000 hours of watch time in 12 months is like, on my gaming channel, I make about 4,000 hours of watch time every 2 months. But I'm also making about $10 a month on the gaming channel through ads. So it's money-wise, it's not a lot. But the thing is that I think what's really getting people upset is the fact that it's right after. There are people in the chat saying, "Say his name, Logan Mort." It's like I said, it's extremely bad timing, and it's just so much going on with how YouTube is like just people who have been on the lower end, just because you get past the 4,000 hours and the 1,000 subscribers and the 10,000 views. Doesn't mean that you're in the clear, because the little bots that the little AI that YouTube has running around demonetizing everything, I don't know if they're going to turn that off. They say that they're going to hire like 10,000 people to actually manually watch over and review content from the highest creators. So I'm pretty sure guys at my level are still going to have all those little yellow dollar signs showing up on absolutely everything I upload, such as this particular live stream. Again, just like the last one, before it even existed, got hit with a yellow dollar sign. It got identified as not advertiser friendly. There's nothing to identify, but something about it's wrong. Strangely enough, the Rogue One review, though, is still monetized. It actually never got demonetized.
Yeah, wait about a week or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to come, but that's the exception. That's the amazing one, is when you get one that actually stays green, and I'm just sitting there waiting for it to turn yellow so I can dispute it, and I'm like, when is this going to happen? Am I going to be staying up all night? Is it fine? Is it not? What's going on?
Also, he's lost sleep over this kind of thing. I know, because he would call me and keep me awake talking about it. Also, remember the Perfect Blue review? We reviewed an anime movie, and we thought, well, on the one hand, this was a pretty huge movie, and it even got a theatrical release in not widespread all across America, but it got a theatrical release in a small number of places. So we were thinking, like, this is kind of iffy. Like, on the one hand, there's that, but on the other, anime isn't always considered to be like a hot button thing on YouTube. So we were like, maybe this one will be safe. And I think, like, by the time like within it being up like a day or so, it got demonetized because it was like not content friendly or whatever. And
Simon Osma says Decker calls creepy late at night. The ship is real.
You're only just thinking this now?
I want to see an elaborate fanfic about this.
I don't.
He says that, but we all know it's true. He does.
Yes. All right. All right. Well, we have a comment from Eli Comics who says that there is a new Halloween movie coming soon, and yeah, I guess we can continue on with our line of topics that we want to cover for this episode. So
there are quite a few topics on this episode. So yeah.
Yes, there were a lot of it.
Like
that's what happens when you have 2 weeks dedicated to it.
First week after Live and Wired, I was thinking, like, is anything going to happen? Then this week coming up on this Saturday, just suddenly. Poof.
Yeah, like a whole bunch, right? So let me just put in the next article. So yes, next one, Halloween movie starts filming. Shares first set of photos. So yes, Blumhouse Productions has confirmed the start of production on Halloween has begun, taking place in Charleston, South Carolina. So we are going to be having new Halloween movie coming up. Original Halloween creator and director John Carpenter will score the new film. Jamie Lee Curtis will reprise her iconic role as Laurie Strode. Judy Greer will play Karen Strode. Andy Matichak will play Karen's daughter. Nick Castle will take over of slasher Michael Myers. Universal Pictures will distribute this film. And hopefully it'll come out. Oh, here it is. Opens in theaters October 19th.
All right. So yeah,
So that's like in the, let's see, it's been 40 years. Yeah, it would have been like the 40-year anniversary of the original Halloween.
As a question, will it be in 3D? That's actually a good question, because I mean, a lot of newer movies were being in 3D for quite a while, but like 4K TVs kind of moved away from 3D at home.
Was I the only person who hated 3D movies? Like I never went to. I went to one movie, and that was Zootopia, and I felt like I was going to throw up through halfway through the movie. And I don't even mean because of the movie. I just meant because the screen kept doing weird things in front of my face.
Yeah, someone saying another remake. Geez, but I don't think that's Lempiello saying that. But I don't think this is a remake. It's sort of like it's a sequel to the original, but it's not Halloween 2. It's like sort of alternate dimensional sequel.
Think of it like the Godzilla 1985 of the Halloween franchise, in which is a sequel to the original, but it ignores everything else.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, or you could even say Halloween H20, which was supposed to be a follow-up to the original Halloween, and it ignores everything else. So I guess they want to do it again because Halloween H20 followed it up with Halloween Resurrection, and not a lot of people like that movie. So I guess because of the huge legacy of Halloween and it being the 40th anniversary, they want to be able to start off with a fresh take on a proper sequel to Halloween. So yeah, it's actually kind of interesting because I think I remember a few years ago where Jamie Lee Curtis was talking about that she didn't want to be involved with the Halloween franchise anymore. She would even talk about it. Mm-hmm. So it's actually really surprising that now she's coming back for it.
Well, she wasn't Scream, and that kind of boosted her career again a little bit. Like when she went on the show Scream Queens, it kind of got her a lot of new publicity. People were like, "Oh yeah, this is a show about basically poking fun at horror movie tropes and old horror movies," and they got a bunch of horror movie actresses to play the lead roles, and Jamie Lee Curtis, I think, was in it. So people were like, "Yeah, hey, Jamie Lee Curtis, will you do another Halloween movie?" and stuff like that. So
yes, Theanical Review says he was joking when he was saying about 3D because there was the third Rob Zombie Halloween movie was supposed to be Halloween 3D. And I'm pretty sure that didn't ever get made. DFC also gave $2 Canadian, asking, Decker, are you a fan of the Phantasm series? And I just started watching it, and I don't know if fan is the word. It's confusing the hell out of me. I've only seen the first one so far, but I am really, really confused.
I've never seen them.
Well, also, I mean, everywhere I saw that, like all sorts of reviews online, there's a bunch of things saying it's like classic. It's like the greatest horror ever written. It is imbued. It's just so terrifying, so true, and it is so fucking campy and badly acted, and just it just goes. Sense is not something that you should be thinking about making when trying to figure the plot out of this thing.
So it's a sequel to one of the Friday. It's a Friday the 13th sequel, in other words.
Alien, make dead people into undead midgets to be slaves on another planet. The ball that goes in your face, at least I can understand that.
Okay.
Yeah, the Phantasm sequels got weird. Like I remember, like the first couple of them, the first two were sort of like almost like back-to-back movies, kind of like the original Halloween 1 and 2, which the second one picks up where the first one, right where it left off. And, the Phantasm is like this, well, the main villain is the tall man. And he's sort of like a proto Slender Man sort of thing and crossed with the Boogeyman. And he has spiked balls. I won't even make my own joke there. You can all just insert it into your own heads. Whatever you can think of is fine. But, then the other movies came along and they were just kind of weird. I mean, like Decker said, aliens make midget zombies for another planet. And yeah, okay, this is a thing that's happening. I'm not even. I apologize for using the word midget, by the way. I should have said little person zombies, zombie little. Actually, sounds more demeaning.
In the movie, they use the term dwarf. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But whenever I hear that, I just think back to Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if that means that the movie is offensive or Dungeons and Dragons is offensive. I don't understand anymore.
Nobody does.
Yes, the answer to the question is yes.
All right, I guess let's go over to our next topic. Oh God. All right. So we have had a couple of people talking about it in the chat, but as of a couple of days ago, there is a brand new Godzilla movie on Netflix called Godzilla Planet of the Monsters. It is the very first CG animated film based off of the Godzilla franchise, and it is actually the first of a trilogy. It is out on Netflix right now if you want to go check it out. And I've heard some things about it. I do know Chris Niosi is actually one of the main characters in the movie, who plays as Haru Sakaki. And his plan is to destroy Godzilla because he witnessed the death of his parents. So I haven't seen it myself, but it looks really interesting. It's actually kind of fascinating that we are getting another Godzilla movie from what I've heard. And also they just pop in a Godzilla movie for people to watch on Netflix. So that'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, also we got a $5 super chat from the Terror of Death. Says, "Hey Creepy, I was wondering if you could review the X-Men Evolution series."
I will consider doing that in the future. I did watch X-Men Evolution. I have some mixed feelings about it, but I don't hate it. It will be something I have considered reviewing it before. I want to wait at least until I'm done with the X-Men animated series before I start on that one. But it's something for the books. Yeah. What? I missed some.
Oh, no. I was just interrupting you, and I didn't mean to. I was just going to talk about the Godzillas, but you were still talking.
Well, I interrupted you earlier, so I feel like it's a fair exchange. Also, someone asked if we would review the rebuild.
Suddenly, Robo.
He was talking about the rebuild of Evangelion movies.
Right. Yeah, they were asking if we would review those together.
That is an idea. That I'm thinking like the new Godzilla. Isn't it supposed to be like the largest Godzilla ever by far? I mean, every time they should make a new Godzilla, inevitably Godzilla is always bigger, except for TriStar, but that wasn't Godzilla, so it doesn't count. So Godzilla always bigger. And now the new one, it's like they didn't just like, okay, this one is like Godzilla, but even slightly bigger, slightly. No, they're just like, hey, you know that last one that was already too damn big? Let's make one about 5 times as tall.
They did the same thing with Gamera, didn't they?
Sort of. I mean, Gamera Heisei was much bigger than Gamera Showa.
Right.
But then the Gamera the Brave Gamera was actually a little smaller, I think. But then again, that was still a child Gamera. So the older Gamera in the beginning of Gamera the Brave, I think, could have been about the same size as the Heisei, or maybe a little bigger.
I guess.
But I do think Decker's right. It does seem like every time there's a new Godzilla, not really necessarily a new movie, but every time, you have a new block of Godzilla movies, he's always like much, much bigger. Like before he had to kind of shuffle around the skyscrapers. Of course, at that point in Japan, in the beginning, the skyscrapers weren't as tall as they are now. now you walk down through Tokyo and you're surrounded by skyscrapers. You kind of feel like a rat trapped in a maze, a really big maze. And, it's like Godzilla in movies just keeps like leveling up, basically.
I'm wondering if at one point, like I'm like 80 years old reviewing Godzilla movies, like, hello, World Wide Web, I'm Shado, the internet personality with the shiniest scalp. And here we have Godzilla versus the world 2090. And it show the Earth, and then here's Godzilla.
This was a short film.
Remember when films had substance and they were 3 hours long?
They were never.
No.
Well, some movies on my channel were 3 hours long, but I don't think they ever had much substance. On average, my reviews ended in a 3-star.
Actually, Decker, I have a question from Hedy Huerta, who asks, how come we didn't collaborate after Monkey Bone?
I
don't know, actually.
I mean, it's like I way back in the day, and I had a little more time, and I was pretty much doing only the movie reviews. I didn't have the gaming channel yet or anything. I was doing a lot more collaborations with general people on Manic Expression, and after a while, I just kind of was trying to concentrate on my work, and like more often, like if I was thinking of something like, hey, I'll bring someone in for this, it was always creepy. So I think it's because it's because Patricia isn't creepy.
Yeah, I'm not creepy. And also, I was completely busy with my stuff as well. I was a blogger back then, which is why I've seen a lot of the comments from people saying that they didn't like Kevin and I's performance. You have to understand, we were bloggers. We weren't online video content creators. So now we no longer blog. We're now video reviewers as well, and we've gotten a lot better with our craft. You can go check out our most recent stuff. So yes, I know we were kind of green back then, but to be quite honest, we were just really busy with our own stuff, and that's just the simple answer to that.
Also, real quick, if I could and apologies for
sure, absolutely creepy.
Decker, we have a Jaden McLeod asking, Decker, can you tell Creepy that he is looking hot?
I cannot. I am incapable of this speakificating. Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Long-haired creepy guy, your temperature is above average.
Above average. Your temperature is 99.1 degrees Fahrenheit. Not above 100, but just about where you're not fever.
I got noticed. Yes, you did.
Yes. All right. Let's move over to the next topic because we're going all over the place. We're sorry, everybody. So,
yeah.
Okay. So I actually want to bring this up. There's going to be a new Spawn movie, and we've gotten a little bit more information about this. Todd McFarlane says that Spawn won't speak in the movie reboot. He wants this. He wants Spawn to be like what the shark was in Jaws. And apparently, he was talking about some information regarding about that. The movie is going to be rated R, and it's going to have like all the undertones from the original Spawn. But the problem is that not only is Spawn not going to speak, but he's not even going to be the main character.
Yeah, it's a bit on the risky end, isn't it?
I may be alone in my train of thought here, but if you make a movie called Spawn, then I kind of feel like that should be your central character. I mean, that's like saying we're gonna reboot the Jaws franchise, but the shark isn't going to be the main character. The main character was going to be this rom-com couple on a boat.
Well, the idea with Jaws is he's saying it's like Spawn is like the shark in Jaws. So Jaws, the main character wasn't the shark; it was the guy in his adventure to stop the shark, and he runs into all these other dudes, and they all go on the adventure, and most of them die, and even the one that does die comes back at the end, even though he didn't in the book because he was messing with his wife. But that's not the point. Well, the human characters really were the main ones. In a lot of Godzilla movies, the human characters are the main characters, and a lot of people don't like that about Godzilla movies when they go into it and they don't know what to expect in a Godzilla movie.
Yeah, the movie is about the people who are affected by Spawn, or people who are planning on killing Spawn. It's not about Spawn himself, which is really shame, because Spawn was actually a really interesting character if you really delve into it. I haven't seen the movie, but I did watch the animated series when I was young, and it's actually really fascinating about the fact that you have this guy who trained, and then he pretty much just gave his soul to the devil, and then he was kind of like working with him, and then it kind of like had this really unusual mixture of with heaven and hell. So it's a real shame that Spawn is no longer going to be the main focus of the movie, just the people who are going after Spawn.
It does almost sound like a...
Yeah, Spawn is the slasher villain, and I think that's going to be very disappointing for fans of Spawn. I think it might be a movie that would be entertaining to fans of horror who don't know anything about Spawn, which might be me, because I really didn't read the comics, and I am a fan of horror. I might find enjoyment in the movie, but if I'm the target audience, because I don't know Spawn, it might not be that good.
Right, exactly. I mean, like we were on the same train of thought, because I'm thinking it sounds like they're trying to turn Spawn into a horror serial killer slasher villain, basically.
Yeah, and that's not who Spawn is.
No. Spawn was Todd McFarlane's attempt to create...
Scotty Dinkins says Spawn is going to be like Slender Man.
We'll get to Slender Man in a minute. Anyway, but please continue. Creepy, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was just like, this... Spawn was Todd McFarlane's attempt to create a 90s anti-hero but still inject substance into the character and into the storyline, instead of it just being like this big scary guy who was going around killing people. The character was meant to have depth, and, there were supposed to be consequences, and, like, stuff actually happened, basically, in other words. So, which may sound like a very loose way of putting it, but if you read a lot of 90s comics, then, well, they were pretty flimsy at best, especially in terms of plot and or character development. Usually both. But Todd McFarlane was actually trying to write a good anti-hero for comic books.
Right.
So now I'm wondering if, because he is still, very much the one in charge of this project, and he's accepting that it's going to probably be a low-budget film. He's going to be making a low-budget horror film out of it. Is he going to, with him in charge, how much more depth will that be? Because, I mean, on paper, it doesn't sound that great, but at the same time, he is still in charge. So you think, what's he thinking? What's he planning? But I'm wondering if he's just going to do something like Cheat, where he's like, okay, Spawn can't talk in this movie. That's the rule. And he just gets a little Post-it note, writes some stuff down, and he's like, boo.
Hey, Creepy, you have a comment. Can you please bring Chibi Thulu?
Oh, he's right here.
Yes, there he is. And there you go. Thank you very much, Chibi Thulu, for showing up for a few seconds.
Also, a bonus cameo. Here's Kendall.
Hey, Kendall. All right. Thank you, Creepy.
You're welcome. Also, someone has been asking to answer a question about the rebuild of Evangelion. I thought we already did, but just in case they didn't hear it, that Decker said very quickly, but that was an interesting idea to review the rebuild of Evangelion movies. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Ooh. The Slender Man.
Slender Man. Thank you for reminding me. So let me just pull up the article real quick. Okay, just put in the screen share. So yes, even though we did talk about Slender Man about 2 weeks ago, because that was when the original trailer came out, now I'm sure that we have had the chance to see it. I had a chance to see it. And yes, it is based off of the Slender Man video game of the same name. And there's a lot of people who are pretty mixed about it. Some people are very skeptical about it, which is to be expected because it's a horror movie based off of a video game. But some people are pretty excited about it. So yes, I'm sure that some people would like to know your thoughts about it.
See, I think it's just not going to really have that Slender Man feel unless you have Markiplier running through the woods like, no, go away!
Now I'm imagining Markiplier reviewing this movie like after it comes out, after it's released a video, and that will be the bulk of his review of the movie. Go away! Oh! And then screaming like, and forgive me, but yes, he does. Screaming like a little girl, and then pausing to stop, look around, and going, hello? Slender Man?
And I looked at the trailer for the Slender Man movie, and I mean, it's a horror movie trailer. I find it very difficult to tell what a movie's about based on trailers. I think that's another reason why I stopped watching trailers mostly. But it just came off as like it's a horror movie, and it's got some psychological effects in it. And here's the forest, and here's the Slender Man over there. He sneaks up on people. Did you notice? Also, this root came out of the dude's mouth really quickly, so it's like a jump scare, but it's in your mind too, because it's all fucked. Scary, isn't it?
Yeah, it's scary.
Creepy.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be really interesting about how they're able to pull it into a movie. And yes, absolutely. You're absolutely right there. We also did talk about the Hellraiser, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, we also did mention about Silent Hill. Yes, that is also a movie based off of a horror video game. And I haven't seen that movie in such a long time, but I do remember it was all right. It was
I
pretty
liked
decent.
Silent Hill for what it was. I played the Silent. It was pretty much sort of the first Silent Hill with some tonings of the second Silent Hill in there, and it they based the movie a lot on not only the games but how people played the games. Like when the camera goes and there's the barrel right there, that's like a shot from the game where the camera will follow you in that way. And she runs into the barrel and just trips over it, because when people play the game, most of the time they just run straight into that barrel accidentally, and then they turn their character and go the right way.
Uh-huh. I remember the one thing that actually really bothered me, and normally this isn't something that does, but I was actually disappointed that they changed the main character from male to female, because I actually liked the fact that Harry in the games is a dad. It's not something you see a lot of in video games in general. That's not an aspect that is explored very much of, and much less from the angle of a father figure. And the fact that it wasn't really, like the rescue the princess or go around blowing stuff up. It was, I'm a dad. I'm in this creepy ass town. I just want to find my little girl and get the hell out. And it was a very simple, but it was a very, I guess the word to say is human, response. And it was a very human motivation, and I liked that. I mean, mind you, you had basically the same thing in the movies, so I guess I can't really complain too much. But at the same time, I liked the fact that, the main character was just an ordinary guy who was a father.
Adventure Jedi 24 is asking, what would make the Slender Man movie a genuinely good horror film?
That's a good question.
Yeah. I do like the Slender Man mythos, but I will admit it's pretty varied. So honestly, I think the Slender Man works best when it's more of a psychological thriller. And as strange as this is going to sound, considering how we just got finished complaining about the upcoming Spawn movie and the direction that it's taking, but I feel like maybe in Slender Man's case, it would be better if we saw less of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep it dark and shadowy where you really don't know, like maybe he could be there, and it messes with your head.
Right.
But I'm thinking like there are ways to go about that right and wrong as well, because I mean, I remember the one movie I saw a while ago that I really want to do a review on because it just pissed me off so much when I saw it. It was just before I even started doing full movie reviews, and I was complaining like I do now about this movie. The Mothman Prophecies.
I do know the movie you're talking about.
Now, do you know the legend of the Mothmen?
Yes. Yes, I do.
They're kind of like the Jersey Devil, which is kind of like Bigfoot except supernatural and demonic and shit. So the Mothmen are supposed to be like 7-8 foot tall things and have red glowing eyes, and they come and they do terrible shit, and that it's like they are big things that happen. The only Mothman in the Mothman prophecies was this ghostly Mothman thing that went through a car at one point, and the rest of the creepy stuff is supposed to be his fault. And I'm thinking that's a really a big stretch, don't you bastards think? We got
we
2
have
pounds.
we have 2 pounds from Toby Kirkby, who says, "When you realize Sean Bean survived Silent Hill." Yeah, he couldn't survive Game of Thrones, but he survived Silent Hill.
But yeah, Mothman prophecies just really, really they were going for psychological, but they were kind of completely missing the point of the creature that they were talking. It was kind of like when you got into the psychological horror Hellraisers, where it was psychological horror, but it completely missed the point of what made Hellraiser Hellraiser. And that's like you want Slender Man to be psychological, yes, but you want to keep it with the mythos of Slender Man. You want to keep that aspect very much the star.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And like when I think of the Slender Man, there was like this doctored photo of the Slender Man standing in the background, but in the foreground it was a playground full of kids, and the kids acted like nothing unusual was happening. But as the observer, you look at the photo and you see the Slender Man in the background. That's kind of how I picture like the essence of a movie being about the Slender Man. Like, are you looking at someone, is this just a practical joke? Are you looking at something that is real and you're the only one who can see it? Or are you just, hallucinating? Or is something happening to you that is causing you to see this sort of thing?
Eddie Herta, in the middle of a different conversation, said, no, Freddy versus Pennywise. And just because of that, I'm thinking Pennywise, like that kind of thing, sort of with Slender Man. Like, it's there, it's terrifying, but not everyone is in on it, and people will think you're crazy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like the little kids and Pennywise. That's actually a decent comparison, yeah.
Yeah, that is actually a very decent comparison. Because Slender Man, we don't really know much about him, and he shows up infrequently, and you're always on the edge on when he's going to come out.
But also, speaking of Hellraiser.
Yes, Hellraiser. Thank you very much. So
Yes.
let's go over to the next one. So, like Halloween, we did talk about that briefly. So, and now we have Hellraiser Judgment. That is the newest Hellraiser movie that's going to be coming out, and it finally has a release date. Hellraiser Judgment will arrive on Blu-ray on February 13th, 2018. So the day before Valentine's Day, you're going to be celebrating with the Cenobites.
Woo!
Woo!
This will be a date movie that Decker takes his fiance to see.
Well, that'd be great.
Yeah,
considering what happened with the last Hellraiser movie and how Decker responded to that, I'm actually excited to hear his opinions once the movie comes out.
Oh yeah, me too. That'll be a lot.
And I saw the trailer.
Hopefully, it's not another found footage film.
Yeah, I saw the trailer, and it looked like it was better than Revelations. But then again, you could make a trailer for Revelations that looks better than Revelations.
You can make a lot. You can make a YouTube video that looks better than Revelations. You did.
Yeah.
What was interesting to me is I was seeing it looked like we had some new Cenobites, possibly Cenobite cult stuff going on, which seemed to be going onto the whole pain and pleasure thing, but then they involved the actual sexification. I'm like, but that's not really what they do. They don't really generally do that. They just take the pleasure from the pain. That is the sex. And I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, okay, is the police going investigating this thing? I'm getting a very Hellraiser Deader vibe from that. Or vibe, not vibe. I'm not putting on a vibe.
Yeah, vibe. Yeah, and just like with the previous movie, Doug Bradley is not going to be playing Pinhead. It's going to be Paul T. Taylor who's going to be taking over as Pinhead.
I did not know that, but thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah,
if it had Doug Bradley in it, I would feel a lot more faithful in the production.
Like what was it that was said? He was invited. He was asked to come and do Revelations, Hellraiser Revelation, but he turned the role down because the price that they were going to pay him was not enough for him to buy an old refrigerator.
That's right.
Yeah. And I still remember the quote from Clive Barker about Hellraiser Revolutions. Like, I had nothing to do with the fucking thing. If they say it comes from the mind of Clive Barker, it's a lie. It's not even from my butthole.
Right. Thank you very much, Beyblade MDM 2009. That our stream looks better than Hellraiser Revelations.
Wait, is that a compliment or an insult? I'm not entirely sure.
I don't know. I'll take it as a compliment.
Fair enough.
Sure.
But to be fair to Hellraiser Judgment, it looks like it might at least expand a little bit on the Hellraiser mythos. I mean, I think Revelations try to do that maybe a bit, but not really.
The idea of a Cenobite cult actually fits at least in my head to me. You know, like
it can be done right.
Right. And the idea at the very least feels like, yeah, I can see this working. I can see this, you know, the idea of a cult that is trying to summon Cenobites and summon Pinhead. This makes sense to me because, you know, the very first movie, it revolved around, the villain was actually not Pinhead. It was a hedonist who was trying to summon what he thought were basically sex demons so that he would be, you know, have them pleasure him. And he found out, well, the Cenobites don't really have a distinction between pleasure and pain. So you're basically going to get snatched up and dragged off to be tortured for all of eternity because they think that that's fun.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the whole torture thing isn't necessarily evil of the Cenobites. They don't come unless they're summoned.
Yeah.
It's just if you're not into that, holy fuck, no. You just went into the harshest fucking S&M party that you've ever been to, and there are no safe words.
Right.
Yeah. Curtis MG says, love from Scotland.
Yes. So be right back. I gotta open the door for somebody.
Sure thing.
Okay.
Retros 80 says, anybody here like the Troma films?
I did one review of a Troma film, and it was disgusting and campy, and it was ridiculously simplistic in its plot, and a lot of the things didn't really make sense, and the budget was low as hell, and it was a lot of fun. And you could tell everyone who made it was really enjoying themselves at the time.
Yeah, that's definitely Troma to a T. I've met Lloyd Kaufman twice at a convention, and he seemed really nice, even though I've never seen any of his movies. But Kevin, who's the co-founder of Old School Lane, he actually went over to Troma over in Queens, and he got a tour of the headquarters. He met up with Lloyd Kaufman and the other co-founder. He saw like some behind the scenes stuff. So yeah, Lloyd Kaufman, from the times that I've met him, he seemed really nice.
Max Fire saying, wait, you did? How come that's not on your channel? It should be. That was a Poultrygeist review. That was my Thanksgiving special.
Uh-huh. I'm not as familiar with Poltergeist. I'm not as familiar with the Tromaville movies. The ones that I am familiar with mainly are it's Toxic Avenger. That's right. I wanted to make sure I got the name right. Toxic Avenger, and one weird one called Class of Nukem High.
Yes, I have heard of that, yes.
Yeah.
Didn't that get I think Class of Nukem High got a sequel crowdfunded.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, it did. Class of Nukem High, I think it was called 2.0, and yes, it did get a crowdfunding campaign.
Right. Where like there's this nuclear ooze or something that turns high school students into like post-apocalyptic punks or something. I mean, I think that was the plot of the
That's the Troma plot right there.
Yeah,
I think so.
I mean, like, hey, look at it this way: Troma films are still way better than Gay Jesus.
Oh yeah, that is yes.
Yeah.
Hello, Jaden McLeod from New Zealand.
Ah, hello, from down under, but not quite as far down under as some.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also,
guess
someone was
Gay Ray
very
says
quickly, someone was asking.
scientific analysis on the Cenobites.
Oh, how do you get a scientific analysis on Cenobites? That's an interesting conundrum.
Yeah. Also, real quick, someone was asking if I had seen the TV show Lucifer. I have not. I have heard of it. I have not watched it yet, but I do know that it is available on Hulu. So I'll probably be taking a look at that.
We got a little pleasant news here. The AGDQ 2018.
Yes, that would be AGDQ, otherwise known as Awesome Games Done Quick. For those who don't know, they are a group of gamers who speedrun a whole bunch of games from classics to new. And every year they raise money for charity. And most of the time their charity is for finding cures or research for cancer. The cure for cancer, anyway. And they broke last year's record by raising over $2.26 million for charity. And if any of you guys have ever seen some of the stuff that they do, some of the stuff that they do for their speedruns are absolutely insane. They raise a ton of money for things such as you raise about maybe like $1,000 to have, Link be named as this, or Epona named as this, or this character named as something else. Or especially the most infamous one is when they play Super Metroid, there's always a huge raiser about killing the animals or saving the animals. For those who have not played Super Metroid, you get taught how to do the wall jump and the shine spark by these creatures, and at the end of the game you have the option to save them when you're escaping from planet Zebes. There is a little competition, like when they're playing Super Metroid, about when they raise enough money either to leave the animals to die at the planet or to save them at the last minute. Usually a lot of them love to kill the animals because, number one, it gets the speedrunners to speed through the game much quickly, and also some people are masochists like that. And then there's some others who want to save the animals, and it's this huge competition. Others include playing Punch-Out blindfolded, playing Super Punch-Out with 2 controllers, playing through the classic Mega Man game with 100% in less than maybe 30 minutes. There's a lot of it. And it's always something fun to watch through every year. There's Awesome Games Done Quick, which is usually around January, and then Summer Games Done Quick, which usually is around the summertime. And they all do this to raise money for charity.
Hey, Luke1234 also dropped a $2 super chat asking, "What's your favorite Predator?" Wolf for him. And I was thinking of that over that, and I think probably the Predator from the first movie, just because the crawling down a cliff face first on all fours, I just was very lizard-like and very alien, not human. And I think that really works. It makes the creature more interesting to me, and that much more than all the other technology, all the other hugeness and badassery, and this blade coming out this way, several blades on both arms, and just all kinds of stuff like that. Just being able to, just the crawling down like that, something like a person would never do.
Mm-hmm.
That it really makes me think, oh, that is a freaky little creature there.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Hello, Trixton from down under, 2 hours south of Sydney. So hello from Australia.
But on the topic of the charity, that's awesome. I can't lie. I can't speed run. I think the closest I did was when I was just trying to get the time trials on Surgeon Simulator ER on the PSVR, and I was like, okay, take the hammer, slam out those ribs, throw this, grab the lungs, throw them around, take the knife, chop out his guts, throw them just aside, cut out the heart, grab the heart, heart disappeared. I'm like, where'd the heart go? Where'd it go?
Also, someone asked if we would review the Wicked City movie, which I have actually seen. It's been a long time, but I've actually watched Wicked City, and once.
Jack Brand's like getting over it. I think in reference to speedrunning, that would be tough.
Reviewing Wicked City would be hard simply because of all the unfamily friendly content or like non-YouTube friendly content that's in that movie. I mean, that's a hell of a lot of things to pixelate and put smiley faces over. So
Yes. Hello there, Chris Taps committees. Please shout out to Latvia and potatoes. It's 3:50 a.m. here. I need a boost. So hello there, Chris. Potatoes. I finally took down. Okay, S Rose 40 says I finally took down my Christmas tree down today. Wow, that's like mid January.
I've left one up until like the end of February, so I can't. I did that one.
That's
really.
bad luck. You're supposed to take it down before December's over.
But someone said that we should do our own home horror movie together, Decker.
Oh, that'd be fun.
See, all I have to do for that is invite you over and leave the camera on.
I'm reminded of the trailer for A Nightmare Before Christmas. Imagine what your parents will think.
Hello, Super Nerdy Geek 1 from Arkansas.
Hello.
Arkansas, hello. You're not that far from me. Hello.
But yeah, I looked at the numbers for the charity, and the 2018 charity was about 40,000 more than the 2017, which is the new record.
Yes.
So that's good. But I'm thinking out of 2.2 million, that's a very small percentage, and I'm wondering if they can pull out more for 2019.
Yeah, I'm sure that they will. I guess it depends on the incentives. And I think there was a few complaints about Twitch as well, because I think from what I've heard, for people who wanted to comment on the live stream on Twitch, they had to pay for it. So I guess that's where...
They had to be subscribed.
Yeah, they had to be subscribed, yes.
It was just one more level, which was... I can understand a bit of that. Is like... if you have a lot of stuff, you want to have some means of control and to slow some things down. Like if you put a giant whiteboard on top of the United States of America and say, hey, anyone, you can draw anything on that and everyone will be able to see it. You're going to get a lot of dicks drawn on that whiteboard.
Yes.
Yes.
Also,
Jackson Beard says, Decker, why are you ignoring me? I said hi for the past the past minutes. No specification. They're just all the minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Beard's been saying hi, and I'm just been here like,
hi. Scotty Dinkins asks about what are your thoughts on Attack on Titan live action movies?
I haven't seen the anime yet, but I know it's excruciatingly popular, and everyone does the whole launching around the buildings with the hip things as like I'm like Spider-Man, but with swords and slash the back of the neck. Kill the Titan, haha. And you don't kill the Titan? Oh well, there's your mother.
Yeah.
They get it's the whole thing where in anime the characters stop and monologue in the middle of a fight, except in the middle of this fight, their entire family is just being eaten like chicken nuggets, and they're standing there like, no, that's my brother. That's my second cousin, not the dog. No.
The dog. They even got the dog. No, it's personal.
All right. Well, continuing on with some more gaming news, we have the recent announcement of the Nintendo Labo. So the Nintendo Labo combines the magic of Nintendo Switch with the fun of DIY creations. So they're going to be releasing some little peripherals with cardboard, and you get to build some things with it, where you can be able to play some various games. From what we've seen of it so far, there's like building blocks, there's a little robot that you can control, there's a piano, and I'm sure that there's a lot more of it. So yeah, that should be really interesting. And when I saw this on Twitter, everybody was pointing out the Rugrats clip where the babies are playing, using their imaginations with the cardboard boxes, and Angelica just takes it and said, "You dumb babies, stop having fun. It's just a stupid box." So now we have literally Nintendo releasing cardboard to make out for various objects and people playing with them. And it's releasing their creativity.
It's interesting. in the concept, I think that the main appeal of Nintendo Labo that I can see would be, I mean, you have something tactile here, and what if you've ever had very, very, very small children, and you're a gamer, and you like games, and like, it's just more and more people of reproductive age play video games now than ever before. And trying to get little tiny kids into games isn't as easy as you might think. You're like, hey, little Johnny, here, look, a Nintendo Switch. You hold it in your hands and play. By the way, be very careful because this thing's really expensive. The buttons, the sticks, moving stuff around on the screen, not going to be quite as interesting to, say, a 3-year-old than playing with blocks or cardboard. But say, hey, we got this thing, craft it yourself and make this thing. And now this object in front of you, you can move that around with the buttons here. You stick your little Joy-Cons on your Toy-Cons there. And that's what they call them, Toy-Cons.
Yeah.
And the rumble here will cause the little things to move around with using the Switch console itself as a little controller. And all the different things. They got the other parts of the piano that you can play the keys, and it actually works because the IR camera in the right Joy-Con is used as like a miniature Kinect and can tell which key you press and in what combination. And it all.
You have a question. You have a $5 question from Luke1234 who says, "I hope you get to review the RoboCop franchise too. I'm foaming at the mouth for it. LOL."
Yeah, I has El Robocapo at home. I just haven't ripped it yet, and I don't have it scheduled, and it's driving me nuts. Oh boy! Now can I?
Johnny Darko 602 says, "I think you're giving kids too little credit. They're smart, evil little bastards."
I mean, a lot of kids just don't really get into video games like on the screen. Like, here's a controller. They look at the TV, press the buttons. Some can, but I mean, when they're really young, most of them prefer playing with blocks or Play-Doh and stuff like that. And Nintendo Labo kind of bridges that, and I think that might be a sort of like Happy Meal-esque semi-evil thing out of Nintendo, like hook them while they're young, really young.
It's I do remember, like when video games, like in the 80s, when they were like, oh, that's for kids and air quotes and stuff like that. But then, and, parents were like, well, we don't like this, but this will die down, sooner or later. And it's been 30, it's, like next, in just a few years, it'll be like, it'll be 40 years since video games became a thing. And now you have like adults and like parents and even grandparents in some cases where they're like, yeah, I remember playing video games when I was like really young or in my teen years or something like that. Of course, back then we had something called arcades. We actually had to, leave the house and walk down the street and play video games on these big machines. Now, if you want to go do that, you have to go to a bar and you have to be over 21 to do it. Like, there are actual novelty bars where you can go and drink beer and eat pretzels and play video games on old-fashioned, big clunker machines.
Yeah, like a Dave and Buster's, right?
Right.
I have a poll. I'm going to try the cards on the YouTube itself, so this will be right on there. Should be able to vote. What is the most terrifying entertainment coming? The Slender Man movie, Hellraiser Judgement, Halloween 2018, or Nintendo Labo? And that should be up right now.
Wisely.
And yeah, there it is. Yeah, I know how to do this.
I will put the Twitter poll onto the chat so that if you guys are interested in voting, then please do so.
It's not a Twitter poll.
Oh, it's not a Twitter poll. Okay.
It's a card right on the.
Oh, it's a card. Okay, gotcha. All right. So I guess we can move over to some other discussions regarding about the Switch, and it's looking pretty well in terms of the sales. So let me just pull it up real quick. Put it up real quick. Yep, here we go. So. Yeah, Nintendo Switch outsold Xbox One and PS4 in December's US sales. yeah, so apparently it's highest console share ever in the US. Xbox One outsold the PlayStation 4 in December, although the Nintendo Switch sold most units overall during the month.
And James Heaton just threw $20 at the chat saying, spoiler alert, Tim Robbins crawls through a mile of shit in Shawshank.
Oh, darn.
Thank you for the 20. Wow. And that is something, a lot of spoiling right there.
Right.
But yeah, wait, let me check. Am I getting this right? Oh, okay, sorry. I still had it clicked on you. Sorry about that. Okay, so on Nintendo Switch selling the most in December, PlayStation sold the most in November, I think.
I think so.
So a lot of people are saying that, a lot of the sales for PlayStation 4 came with the Black Friday sales. People got their holiday shopping done then, and Xbox kind of came up more in. Or did Nintendo do more in November as well? I don't know. But Nintendo's doing really well.
Yeah, I mean, they had Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, which, I mean, when you consider that it came out this year, you have two launch titles that are gigantically popular and critically acclaimed. When was the last time that you could say that in terms of a launch title?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of said. Well, it was all Breath of the Wild came out the same day on the Wii U, except most people didn't have a Wii U either. So if they're going to get a system to play Breath of the Wild, may as well get the one that's going to be supported for several more years. I mean, I had a Wii U, and I got a Switch, and this is the only one I have Breath of the Wild on. It's nice now.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Superfication says, Creepy told me you've seen Ricky-O. Am I the only one that's seen this?
Don't think I've seen it.
Rids, RYDZ. $2 Canadian. Can you review the Return of the Living Dead series? And that's the sort of campy equivalent. I mean, there was a Night of the Living Dead came out, and it was like really something, and then eventually it got followed up with Dawn of the Dead. But before that happened, there was another company that was like, hey, let's sort of make our own sequel to that. They made Return of the Living Dead, where in Returning of the Living Dead, Night of the Living Dead is a movie that came out but was also a real event that the movie was based on. And then there was all this other stuff that was thrown, and Return of the Living Dead and Night of the Living Dead have very different zombies. Like in Return of the Living Dead, you shoot their head, they're not dead. They're not even close to dead. You cut their arm off. Arm's not dead. It's still coming at you. You say, okay, this isn't working. Throw them all in the incinerator. That didn't help. All that ash came out of smoke, and it just kind of peppered all over the place in the cemetery. Look at that. They're all back to alive now. Good luck.
And
it's really campy and extreme, and I've only seen a couple Return of the Living Dead, but they are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
So that would be a good idea.
Yeah, that would be. Now, Creepy, I'm sure that you actually told me this at the last minute before we even started recording that you like to talk about this particular movie. You wanted to talk about A Wrinkle in Time, which is an upcoming Disney movie that's going to be coming out I think it's going to be coming out in the next month or so. So, yeah, I don't really know too much about it. So why don't you give your thoughts on it?
Wrinkle in Time was originally a novel that was released in the early 60s. And it counts as science fiction with a little bit of fantasy thrown in. But essentially, a young girl, a teenage girl about 13, and her younger brother and the boy who lives next, they live on a farm. So I say next door, but it's more like, several, almost a couple of miles away. But they end up getting taken on this outer space joyride to different planets so they can gain wisdom and knowledge, basically an experience points run, to rescue the girl's father, who's being held prisoner on a planet that is under complete mental subjugation by an alien brain.
Yeah, I saw you suggested we talk about this, and I went to click and look at the trailer, and I just came up to the one IMDb page, and I just saw like what looked like crystal bedecked Disney princesses all smelling like and shining and bright in this, and I'm like, oh my god! And I just was like, okay, I'm traumatized.
Yeah, A Wrinkle in Time is actually a pretty deep novel, considering that this is a book that ended up being aimed at like preteens. It's actually pretty horrifying once you get into some of the like subtext of it, because the plot sounds pretty straightforward, and it is, but it deals with a lot of things like growing up and self-discovery and the relationship between children and their parents and children and their siblings. And it also deals with a lot of denser concepts like free will versus totalitarianism, and the necessity of making a stand against what is wrong, even though it may be costly, even though it may not be fun or as exciting as stories and TV shows and movies make it seem like it. It's important to make a stand against when something bad is happening, because sometimes you just need to. And this is not actually the first time that this movie has been adapted. There was an attempt to do so in 2003. It was not produced by Disney, but it was distributed by Disney. And oh boy, is that movie pretty much universally hated. So I'm hoping that this adaptation is going to be at least better than that one.
What happened? Was it too far away from the book? Was it too close to the book? What happened?
I've heard like the parts, like a lot of there was a lot taken away from it as far as getting away from the book, and there was also just the fact that what was kept faithful to the book felt very hollow. Like it was, this scene in the movie happened in the book, but the movie just, it felt like it missed the mark as far as why this scene was important. Or, it was just, we put this scene in the movie because this scene was in the book, so we have to make it seem at least a little bit something like the way the book was. We don't care about the substance or anything like that. We're just putting this scene in because this scene was in the book. But there was also criticisms about the acting. Like a lot of they did find child actors for this, but unfortunately they didn't bother trying to find child actors who could actually act.
Oh,
yay.
I see.
James Heaton, just a super chat donated $5, said, spoiler alert, Jaws is a shark. Joking aside, love your channel, and I got a whole lot of money and time to burn, so plenty more spoiler alerts to come.
Awesome. And,
thank you very much for the donation, James.
Whatever. Keeps things entertaining, which is more than I can say for myself. Jackson Beard says, I have an idea for a summer special. Decker, wanna hear it? Question mark, exclamation point.
Yeah, sure.
Like 20 of them. Well, I mean, summer special ideas, they keep coming, and there's a lot of them. There's not enough summers in my life. But, yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Any ideas better than no idea.
Yes. Let's see if we have any others to discuss about. Let's go back to some Google news really quick, because everybody loves those.
Ah.
Yeah, I know. It sucks.
Anyway,
Ooh,
The what?
That's nice. Now you can review all the Transformers movies.
I suppose there's that.
Okay. Let's see what we got. Google is promising that real people will watch premium YouTube videos to make sure ads don't end up next to scary content.
Scary. Yes, that's one way you could put it. Scary.
Yes.
I don't think it's because it was scary that people were upset.
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
it's.
I feel like we missed a point here, Google, about everything.
Yeah, apparently they're thinking that, it's going to be like just as big or not slightly bigger than what television is becoming.
Right.
Well, I
Luke
think that
124 donated $2 saying, "What is your favorite food to splurge on?"
huh,
For Decker?
have I guess Whataburger is is a thing because those burgers are expensive, so I can't do it too often.
I was
But
going to
it's so
say
nice when I
Deckard's
can.
favorite food to splurge on? That's easy. Sandwiches.
Dimeblade 17 donated $5, and he says, "Decker, what is worse, Alien Origins or the Star Wars Holiday Special?"
I'd say Alien Origin because the Star Wars Holiday Special, there can be some morbid entertainment found in that. Not so with Alien
I actually watched the Star Wars Holiday Special around Christmas time, and my God, it was so boring. I wanted to just bang my head over a wall in like 30 minutes.
Well, think of that with Alien Origin, except on top of it being boring, there's really nothing going on. It's just trees, and the camera's shaking so much that you feel like throwing up.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like an asylum film, honestly.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
an asylum.
It's not an asylum film. Also, the Star Wars special had B. Author in it, so, and Alien Origins did not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so as far as people getting the real people to watch premium content, I'm thinking, is that just going to be the YouTubers who are on the top tier of ads, like Logan Paul was, or like PewDiePie was? I know Logan Paul's been suspended from it. I don't know if he's been completely removed or just suspended temporarily.
It's been up in the air at this point. Let's see. The movie dude 0123 says, "Batman and Robin, what about this movie? What did you think?"
Oh, it's been a long time since I saw Batman and Robin.
Yeah, me too. I actually saw that movie in theaters. And I remember that the moment that the movie was over, everybody just like walked over and said, "This movie sucks." Like, I mean, they even said that like Batgirl was like not even Batgirl because I think they were like comparing her from the animated series, and even with when Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze was saying all those ice puns, everybody was like groaning. I think I even heard somebody booing and actually throwing popcorn at the screen. It was bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. Let's see. The Killing Joke was epic. I've never. Oh, you mean like the movie? Oh, I've actually never seen The Killing Joke. I've read it though, but I've never seen it.
Okay.
The Killing Joke. It's basically like the origins of the Joker.
Right.
That.
Yeah, that.
Yes,
That.
that.
That's one of the books I've got my Surface stacked on. It's got a good support.
Yes, it does.
It's written by Alan Moore, so you're going to expect it to be at least a little bit dense. Alan Moore comics tend to not be thin. They're not thin paperbacks. You're going to get a pretty thick slab of printed press.
I remember the one thing in Batman and Robin with a Bat credit card.
Yeah.
But I think that was sort of based a bit on the very well-received Batman McDonald's tie-ins from the Batman Returns.
Yeah, and what people don't seem to remember is that if you recall from the David Letterman show where Pee Wee Herman was dressed up as, I think it was Satan, he actually had a Bat credit card. I'm not even joking. You look up one of the David Letterman, skits on YouTube, and you can see that he did have a Bat credit card. Even like almost 2 decades before Batman even showed it off.
It is like during Batman Returns, when that was going into theaters, they had the tie-ins with McDonald's and the McDonald's toys for this like not for kids movie. But they had the line from the movie, "I'll get drive-through," and then they had the parts in the commercial where the fucking Batmobile going through the drive-through. But it's like it was kind of like people really responded well to that, but the back credit card was like if that was actually in the movie.
Yeah. I also remember the Diet Coke, commercials. Like they were sponsoring Batman Returns too, and it was just this. Like Batman is in the Batmobile and gets a news feed broadcast saying that someone is stealing Gotham's power supply and that the city is blacking out. And this happens like as he was pulling up alongside this Diet Coke vending machine. So of course the machine goes dark, meaning he can't use it, and he starts racing around Gotham trying to find a Diet Coke machine. It's still working, so he can get a freaking Diet Coke out of it. And I just remember thinking this commercial was hilarious.
My God, that's great.
Like, I mean, like, I just remember thinking that commercial was hilarious.
Right. Jacob Kuzat says, please review Insidious, Insidious 2, and Insidious. Your take on it, Decker.
Insidious. Which one's Insidious?
It was one of the. It's that horror movie, I think.
Yeah, horror movie, ghosts, family being haunted, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
That was the one where we brought up last live in Wired, where there was the fourth movie had the fourth movie had a trailer, and I looked at it and I was confused.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the one.
That's the one.
I could review that, but I'm not feeling like I'm in any hurry to.
Sure. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else we got on the docket?
Let's see if I can double check anything.
I'm thinking I should probably put the polls on Twitter and not through the cards. I thought the card might be a little more convenient, but I'm seeing 33% votes for one movie and 66 for Nintendo Labo, so I think that's probably a total of 3 votes.
Okay, so hey, we actually did get some votes. That's good.
True.
One of those votes was me.
Oh.
I voted for Nintendo Labo.
Yeah. Trey Stewart asks, what is the worst superhero movie of all time?
Oh. See, the problem with that is I haven't seen all the superhero movies. I know that Green Lantern was very much panned when it came out, but then again, it's got my favorite dude in it right now. So I'm like,
there was Batman and Robin. There was Catwoman. There was I just had it in my head. Oh yeah, Fantastic Four. Like you pick either one of them.
So what's my opinion on the new Tomb Raider trailer / movie? I didn't watch the trailer. I saw the picture of the poster, and I was just like, yeah, because it's kind of the new Tomb Raider style.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, Lara Croft, you know how she's a badass? Well, she's not.
Yeah.
Enjoy the game. And I've never been able to get behind that.
Well, I guess to be fair, it is a reboot / prequel about the struggles that she had to do to become the badass that we would know from the original. So I guess that's what the angle they're going for.
Well, it's like I played the Tomb Raider games because I like jumping around, exploring stuff, looking death in the eye, and being like, "Ha! I did the first game. This person used this artifact to turn into this weird demon wing thing." And I was just doing side jump, just shooting. And then I ran from the volcano as it was exploding. And I got the Tomb Raider. Not the Rise of the Tomb Raider. That's the second one. But I got Tomb Raider, which is the first of the reboot thing. And in the meantime, I'm scraping my knees. I'm crying. And everyone's grabbing me. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm going to have to run away. And I'm like, what the hell is this?
Right.
Why? She's still Lara Croft. I played the other one where she was like 13 or 14 years old and she was raiding a tomb with her daddy. What's going on here?
I don't know. We have a question. I'm Mr. Meeseek says, are you going to do a review of Hatchet 2 and 3 since you did the original?
I really should. That's I'm wanting to do that much more than I am Insidious. To gauge it, right? I don't have it on the schedule yet, I'm afraid, but I really, really should have it on the schedule at some point. I think Creepy kind of fell out. He's been having some problems with his laptop, so we don't know how quickly he's going to be coming back or if he's going to be coming back.
Oh, yeah, I know he was having some difficulties with his laptop earlier. So, yeah, we've pretty much covered the news. That's all the stuff that we got for this installment of Live and Wired. So, if you have anything else to cover, right before maybe we wait for Creepy to get back, or we can just end it right now.
We could keep going for a little bit. We were
Sure,
supposed to
that's fine.
cover what we were also going to be doing, on our own channels and such.
That's right, yeah.
As Dime Blade 70 says, review them for the man, the legend, Kane Hodder. He just said Kane Hodder, but every time I say Kane Hodder, I have to say it like that.
Yes. Let's see. What are your thoughts on the recently announced Alien video game?
Well, there's talks that it's going to be a shooting game, and that while that can work, at the same time, it's like Alien works because it's scary. The Xenomorph works best when it scares the crap out of you. Alien Isolation really was one of the first really good Alien video games because it just you could not beat that alien. It could tear you and kill you instantly. You had to get away from it. You had weapons to maybe get it off of you, but you couldn't kill it. With a shooting game, you have to be able to kill them, and if they're too easy, they're not scary. But if they're too hard, people will think this game sucks.
Yeah. Let's see. James Heaton says, spoiler alert, Peter Weller is RoboCop. Once again, love your stuff and will continue to help support you every time you live stream. How often do you plan on doing this?
I'm hoping to have this every 2 weeks for Live and Wired, just to not only have enough time for things to come up to talk about, but also be able to, just try and make sure that everyone is able to schedule. It's going to be hard to keep everyone on the same schedule. If I demanded everyone's attention for like 3 weeks in a row every day,
Right.
I would get about 4 days in, and then everyone's like, "Okay, Decker, stop! I've got to mow the lawn. Leave me alone."
Yeah. Oh, we have a $5 question from Luke1234. Yeah. Why don't you read this off, Decker?
Do you think prostitution should be legal? Because what's the difference between that and being a gold digger? Well, being a gold digger isn't exactly looked on very well. That's a derogatory term. Yeah, I think I try and avoid political talk and such. I'm also thinking, should that be $5 sent to the good old doggy charity?
It's up to you, man.
I just, super chats. I wanted to be able to cover them all because people putting their money down, and that's something like, hey, you're putting yourself forward like this, you're putting that down. I don't want it to just be like, oh, well, thank you. But at the same time, when it's stuff that I'm like, I'm not so certain about saying all this stuff on a live stream, and that someone can put something down and say, hey, say this, you son of a bitch. I know this wasn't I don't think this was vindictive or mean or anything like that. I just think it was maybe poorly worded. Yeah, I want to say, okay, for any kind of situation like that, there's this lovely, lovely little charity, Save the Aminals, or whatever. What's it called? I found it. It was nice. I think they could use $5. It'd be nice.
Candyman Gloving asks, do you watch anime, Decker?
Not too often. I do watch it. I do enjoy it, but I don't have that much time. So usually when I'm watching it is in bed while my fiance is sleeping.
Yeah, because I know that you have done a few reviews on anime. You did the Cowboy Bebop movie, and there was a Star Troopers animated movie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right now,
So,
I just watched Parasite,
oh, Parasite. Oh, okay. Yeah,
and
I've heard about Parasite. Yes.
the question that is only for you. When will myself and the
Right. Yeah, I remember the movie, and I think I also remember Parasite Eve, which was a video game based off of the book of the same name.
ah,
Yeah, it's a
Parasite
game that came
was
out in the late '90s, done by
Mhm.
Square. It's actually pretty interesting discussing about like the main character who's trying to fight off the creatures taken over by mitochondria. So yeah, it's from what I've seen from reviews, it looks like it's a pretty good game. Yes, Eddie, on the PlayStation.
yeah the Dimeblade 17 $5 super chat. After doing the summer of Freddy vs. Jason, which Nightmare and Freddy movies were your favorite and least favorite, and why? I'd say favorite Friday the 13th movie is or was part 7, The New Blood, because it just the monster brawl aspect of it, despite the fact that it wasn't really a monster brawl because that wasn't until Freddy vs. Jason. She wasn't really an established monster, but she still had the powers, and it made it was a lot of fun and a pretty high quality. What's the word I'm looking for? Pretty high end, like budget and such for Friday the 13th movie. Least favorite Friday the 13th. Uh, Jason Takes Manhattan was campy and terrible, but still fun in some ways. Part 3, 3D. That one was really bad. That one was just there. It had no reason to exist.
Yeah, it was just
There were
there.
some good parts to it, but it just it really didn't have any identity.
Mm-hmm. As for now, Nightmare.
Nightmare. I think the first Nightmare on Elm Street was my favorite of the bunch. Least favorite though, Freddy's Dead. That one just was. It ignored like most of the entire series except the first, and it really was not set. It was like, hey, we're gonna tie up all the loose ends. By the way, in case you didn't know by now, it was actually these 3 tentaskulls behind it the whole time. So we're gonna tie that up. I'm like, what?
Jeez. Craven Skate 05 says, "Are you going to do a review of Ash versus the Evil Dead?"
I have not seen that yet, and I know they've got several seasons going.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Like
Um.
Spike, let Decker know you're here. What? Like Spike? What's his like Spike?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Spike.
Teddy Ruxpin talking. I'm thinking like Teddy Ruxpin. Well, you should be on here. You got you've been a YouTuber for a while. We could just start doing that a little bit. Like we could start having like little guest YouTubers on this. I don't know.
Oh, that'd be actually a really fun idea. When I did my 5th anniversary of my podcast, I actually invited a few of my fans from my site, and I had them over as guests, and we talked about some things. So, who knows? Maybe if you have a milestone coming up, maybe a few of your fans would like to come on by as guests, and you guys can talk about stuff. That'd be a lot of. It was actually a lot of fun when I did it.
Okay, Creepy, you're back.
Hey, Creepy,
Yeah.
welcome back.
Sorry, I'm not uploading anything this week. The problem is my internet security program has decided that it needs to update. It's like been updating since I got my laptop working again. I've been dealing with that all day. And so now that it's working again, it wants to update. And I'm like, really? Seriously? I mean, I know this is important.
Teddy
now.
Ruxpin pointing out that a like spike is just getting everyone to hit the like button. But yeah, I think we've pretty much covered most of the stuff
Yeah, we covered pretty much everything on the news sheet.
DFC donates $2 Canadian. It's like, Decker, have you heard of Razor Fist? And yeah, and it was kind of interesting because I commented on one of his videos, and he commented back saying, "Hey, I didn't know that you watched my stuff." So evidently he heard of me. But also he commented on my Lost World Jurassic Park 2 review, and he did not agree with me that it was a bad movie. So I was like, "Well, really?" But yeah, to each their own.
Well, that's good to hear.
Uh-huh.
So have you posted up the poll on Twitter?
I did not post it on Twitter. I'm thinking like next time I do a poll is going to be through Twitter because I didn't seem to. Let me refresh it here again.
Yeah.
Where I can see exactly what the results are. Okay. It's a couple more votes in a couple of directions. I'm not sure exactly how many votes. It's not really telling me. But the what's most terrifying entertainment coming, 62% voted Nintendo Labo, 37% voted Halloween 2018. And I got no votes for Slender Man or Hellraiser. So I'm not. That's the other thing. Like on Twitter, I can tell how many people voted. It's like I'm trying to. I was like, hey, the card, it's right there on the thing. People will have an easy time, and I don't know if the cards are really that easy or if it's just since it's in the corner and you got to click over there and do stuff. If it's just funky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't worry. Well, we learned our lesson. Next time it'll be up on Twitter for you guys to vote.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'll put it in the description if I can remember, because I can edit the description while this thing's streaming. So,
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, we could cover what we're.
Chris asked, where can I find your Bitcoin wallet? I can't do chat donations from Latvian YouTube.
I do not have a Bitcoin wallet yet. I guess I could get one. See about that. If anyone wants to do that, then I mean I don't know how to Bitcoin or really any of that, but I can see about putting something together for you if you'd like. We can cover what we are working on right now, and I guess we call that an episode.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Okay.
Okay, Creepy, would you like to go first?
Next, what I've got everything together now, just needs to be edited, is the newest gem review, which are not as popular, but the people who do watch those seem to really, really enjoy listening to me rip the show apart. And, I also have a Scooby-Doo review in the works. I'm going to drag Chibi Thulu's voice actor to watch the movie with me tomorrow. I've been told that he's going to watch it, even though he really, really doesn't want to. So that's coming up as well.
Good luck.
Okay, Patricia. Now that you're drinking.
Yes. All right. Well, what I have coming up, I posted a Twitter poll saying to my followers, what do you want to see me cover next? I had 4 options. I had a top 20 list. I had the premiere of a brand new video series called Heroic Gem or Junk, which is about obscure or slightly forgotten superhero movies, TV shows, animated series, what have you. The premiere date of a new video series called Influential Marvel, which is about groundbreaking or influential movies, TV shows, video games, and why they became influential and how did it become a huge impact on pop culture. And the 4th and final one is a series that I do called From Pilot to Final Product, where I take a look at pilots to TV shows and I compare them to their TV show counterpart. And the votes say that they want me to do a top 20 list. So I am working on that. And as usual, I also do a whole bunch of other podcasts. I do We're in Between, which is a weekly As Told by Ginger podcast. I do casual chats where I discuss about various topics. I have one coming up that should hopefully be coming up this weekend. And also, you can find me doing the Our Meta Show. I'm a co-host over there. We talk about politics. We talk about movies, TV shows, a whole bunch of stuff. And we also do a spin-off podcast called Pix Mix, where we discuss about every single Pixar movie leading up to The Incredibles 2.
Okay, so what I got going on, just got the Rogue One review up yesterday, I believe. Finally, it's been a long time that script has been done, and I just recently got my camera over and was able to film it. I still have 2 other scripts completely done. I need to film and start editing and working that out. But tonight, I also intend on live streaming a bit on the gaming channel in just a bit. Probably going to maybe be I Am Bread Part 3, unless I want to do something else with my face still shown. Like, I don't think I'll be doing any VR tonight. I usually do VR like every 4 days. Is like Skyrim VR live streamed on the gaming channel, which is fun. But also got on the gaming channel for regular content being uploaded. I've started Doki Doki Literature Club, which
That's
is
awesome.
going to be an interesting little romp. I saw it everywhere, and I had already figured out all of the voices that I wanted to do for all other characters. And I think it was Feline Comrade was commenting that the whole thing is like the Decker Shadow Visual Novel Voice Hall of Fame. Because I just like doing the voices in the visual novels. Yeah, because I named the main character Erwin, the same character from Panzer Model's Tank Dating Simulator, and therefore I just kind of go along with the Solid Snake sort of voice for him.
And so Yuri is a high-pitched little
Oh my god.
And then there's Yoey, who I give the same voice that I give to my fiance's cat Dobby. Natsuki gets Jesse Ventura. And then there's Monica, who's just a very general, plain, unsuspecting kind of voice, of course. And that's kind of how it works.
Nice.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what I've been doing on the gaming channel.
Wow, yeah, very nice voice work, I must say.
Mr. Shado with a W says, "Holy crap, Decker should do voice work." And Teddy Rubskin says VR chat is booming right now, but I only have a PS VR, and I don't think you can do VR chat with that unless, I don't know, does Rec Room count? Not really. It's not VR chat. It's not the thing that everyone's talking about.
I don't have a virtual reality set, so I can't say.
I don't
Teddy
either.
Rubskin saying that I need to do VR chat. I don't know. I get some social anxiety in Rec Room. Like, I get in there and I walk in the room, and I'm in VR and I'm in the Rec Room, and there's everyone else in VR walking around and stuff and talking, and they're like someone like teleports up to me, is like, "Hey," and I'm like, and just kind of teleport away. I don't know what to do in that situation. So I don't think VR chat would be it. If I can't handle just being in a room with people playing basketball, I don't think I could handle VR chat. Where's Decker? He's the one. He's the little avatar in the corner crying.
So, yeah, I think that we can start wrapping things up. So, the next episode of Live and Wire should be in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I suppose. So that would be around
It's probably February 3rd.
Yeah, February 3rd would be the date.
Sounds good.
And don't know if it's going to be. It's probably going to be further in the afternoon again. Probably the 8 p.m. Eastern. It's not a bad time slot.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's kind of wound down. It's nice. You don't feel too rushed.
No, I think it's a lot more mellow, that's for sure.
Right.
And most of the day's gone, so anything happens today, you have more time to talk about it.
True.
Yeah. Especially if there's any last minute news, it'll definitely be another topic for us to cover, as opposed to something that just becomes really quick and then you're like, oh, we didn't cover this because it just came out like 5 minutes ago. Sorry.
The inspired ones here is like Decker Shadow Gaming is his gaming channel. I guess someone was asking, what's Decker Shadow's gaming channel? Yeah, it's just called Decker Shadow Gaming. On my channel, it's like on the recommended channels. It's right there, Decker Shadow Gaming.
Right.
So yeah, thank you all for joining us today. It's a very very interesting little live and wired we had. And now that it can get processed, I can put the title card that's supposed to be there.
Yay!
Woohoo!
Thanks, you two, for being so incredibly inconvenient.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.